She mentioned Harlan in that essay. She mentioned Harlan, our principal. When he came on to our school 5 years ago, he announced one of the first things he told us beyond his normal expectations were that there would be character education at our site. He was going to have a character trait a month, and here's a packet of stuff to give you ideas, and I expect to see things in the window once a month for that character trait, so anybody that walks through the school will know what character trait we're working on. And as a teacher, you know how it is. Somebody says, okay, now you have to do this too, and you go, all right, I don't have anything against character education. I do a little bit of that in my classroom, I think. It became extremely easy. I realized right away that it was something I could incorporate into my daily talk. It became, as Harlan says, if he was here, he'd say, it's his discipline plan. It's my discipline plan. When, you know, I send one of my first graders off to the bathroom and they show up, 15 minutes later, I go, are you being responsible? Are you being respectful to yourself for not being in class? Oh, did you take somebody else's eraser? Are you being trustworthy? It becomes part of the language, not just of our school. The children, as they say, are exposed to it from kindergarten on at our school. But it becomes a part of the language of our classroom so that they hear it. And it's not just a once a month shot where I read a couple of books and we do a project and that's it, we're done with it. And it certainly is not, okay, this month it's trustworthiness and say goodbye to that because now it's March and we're going to talk about caring or something. It's cumulative. We always start off with responsibility at the beginning of the year, and this is hanging on my board the first day of school. We talk about responsibility, and for first graders, I pretty much tell them it means getting their homework in on time. I figure that's very relatable, and if everybody turns it in, we get a star. The whole class has to be responsible to get a star, and when we get to the end, they choose a party to have. And it takes a while because there's 13 letters in responsibility. So you don't have to do it too often. They have to work for it, okay? So we're working on our third time through now. I have to admit that I'm not as responsible as I should be about noticing when they're being responsible. But they get them for everybody getting their homework in. So that hangs on the board the whole year. I pulled it down this morning. And I have I brought those in too. We all have a stash of these as teachers, and somebody had suggested putting just the character trait on there, so we just circle it real fast, and the kids are thrilled. My kids come back from recess and like, I go to the office, they're thrilled, So I've come up with some stuff, some things that were in Harlan's list. I do teach first grade, so I'm not sure how much you can relate to it, but some things are very adaptable. I now have kindergartners too, and so I inherited some of what the kindergarten teacher did. So she just has a simple little form, I am honest when, and they've obviously talked about, and then they fill it out and color it, and she has one for every character trait. So she gave me these for some of my students. At the beginning of the year, I'm responsible. At home or at school, they get to choose. They write what they do and they draw. It's the beginning of the year, so we keep it pretty simple, This hangs in the window. Respectful. I found respect pretty difficult to explain to young children, so I came up with 3 things I thought were relatable to them about that. One of my favorites that I did for trustworthiness is I came up with some scenarios. Appropriate first grade scenarios, things that happen in my classroom or at our school perhaps. And then they work with a partner and they come up with what should you do. So like this one says, your friend tells you a secret about a present she is giving to her mom, what should you do? It's about being trustworthy. Can you be loyal? Can you keep a secret? And they use a lot of speech bubbles and talk about it. They did a really good job on this set of them, actually. There's a couple more here. You saw something you really wanted at the store, and you didn't have enough money to buy it. You put it in your pocket and took it home. What should you do? So you can see there's one in here. It isn't a problem as much now with our character, but we used to have this real big problem in our school. All your friends are throwing wet paper towels on the ceiling in the bathroom. They want you to do it too. What should you do? I don't know about upper grades, but in first grade it's all, well, he was doing it, so I guess it's all right. I was like, excuse me? So I usually, and I assign these to children, and there are times when there is a very big purpose in the assignment. Some child was guilty of this particular item. Let's just reinforce the lesson I gave on it, So, and then I also, a similar way, we also talk about decision making. You can see the banners around here are from my classroom. The only one I really use as an activity is the fairness one. Around the edges of that, they've written how they will be fair. But I wanted to have the character traits in here so you could see what we work on at the school. And so as a reward, they got to color in the other ones. They were in paradise.